And then the thing with femininity, again, I'm just like, use your fucking words. What is it that you think femininity, describe people in real words. Don't use these catch-all labels to say what it is that you What's up, friends? We're back. We're Black and Curious. I'm Kandron.
What up, what up? It's Deja. How y'all doing?
And we're back with another conversation. If you've never been here before, welcome. We do a cross-section of pop culture and real life. And today we are going to talk a bit about labels. All right, so a bit of background. When we were planning out our content for this, we were talking about our branding for what we're doing in this channel.
Going forward, yeah.
Deja brought up the word femininity, and I had a very, very strong reaction about it. And Deja knows, and most people that really know me know, I don't really care about a lot. So Deja was very intrigued by my reaction, that I had such a strong reaction, because typically I'm just like, I don't really care. So I will let her, explain a bit more about that, and then we can talk about my aversion to labels and what that means in terms of, community and how that has, affected life generally and all of the things. So go ahead.
So
The
the
floor
long
is
and short
yours.
of it is Kandron just was like, absolutely not. Femininity, no, that's not a part of this brand. And I was like, huh?
I didn't say it's not a part of this brand. I say that
You don't
that
identify
word
with
does not
femininity.
resonate with me. That
Yes.
doesn't resonate with me. Yes.
And so, but like the way on the receiving end
Mhm.
of said thing, it was just kind of like, Kandron was like, absolutely not. Nope, I don't see it that way. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And so we had this whole back and forth. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting because to me, we are on the same street as it relates to this topic. But for me, I'm just like, I don't identify with femininity as culture has decided that femininity and womanhood is. And so, like, while I'm saying these things, let me go ahead and give you the Google dictionary definitions. So femininity
Mm-hmm.
from Google are qualities or attributes regarded as characteristic of women or girls. And then womanhood is the state or condition of being a woman. All this stuff is coming from Google, right? And so for me, the all the societal stuff that they have thrown at women throughout time, all that kind of all. I don't care nothing about that. Like my version of femininity is my version of femininity, and I don't see. There are pieces of some of these cultural beliefs that I have within my identity, but I'm not femininely defined, excuse me, as what the cultural belief is, if that makes any sense. And so
Okay.
what I was saying to Ken at the time we were having this conversation was kind of like, you can be feminine however you see fit. It doesn't have to be, I'm not speaking about what everybody outside of us thinks. I'm just, like, what's your belief of
Right.
it? And so
Yeah.
here we are with the aversion to
And
labor
so I guess,
conversation.
yeah. So I guess, to just we're kind of cluing y'all into some like background conversations, but
Yeah.
where I landed is like, it's not just the femininity that I am averse to. I am averse to labels, period. I don't enjoy being labeled. Um, I find them to be sort of reductive and kind of confining, just based on how they have been used in relationship to me and against me throughout my life. So I have a few examples. So I always knew that I was very like creative growing up, and I did the work, and I guess like schoolwork, so to speak, usually came pretty easy to me, but I was always inside, I always felt very creative. So at some points, like I wanted to be a chef. I wanted to, and I really did want to be a chef. And I still to this day, I love entertaining. Like
Low
I
key, she is
love,
a
love,
chef.
love entertaining. I love entertaining. And like I would still very much love to own a bakery one day. But it was very like people were kind of like, "Ugh, well, you're smart though. You should do something more
Like,
like
just keep going with your
intellectual." So when
brain.
I said, yeah, so when I said, "Oh, lawyer," that really turned people on. And that kind of is why I kind of ended up in the profession that I ended up. And we see ever since then, I have been trying to get the hell out of it. And I ended up taking on so many loans and all of this stuff and like having all this stuff. Whereas if I had have just been encouraged to be my true self, then perhaps I wouldn't be here. Another label that I have felt very um plagued by, I guess, so to speak, is being an only child. I don't like that people just say that and just throw it out there because yes, I do have characteristics of an only child, but it just is reductive of my background because I grew up very much in community. And that's why I crave community so much because I very much was raised by the village. I saw I saw my uncle and his family just as much as I saw my mom, sometimes more. And I was very much a part of all the kids running around at that house. You know what I'm saying? And when I left their house on the weekends, I they came with me. Like my cousins came with me. So we had people living in and out of our house. Like my mom helped raise other people's children, you know what I'm saying? And so and I had a very close, I call her like my aunt, sister, cousin. Y'all know how Black families are situated. Uh, that basically lived with us. I wasn't like a true only child until high school. And I think my experiences are more shaped by being an adult woman who lived by herself for after pretty much after college and even in college, that shaped my experiences more than being an only child. But people hear that I'm an only child and they're like, oh, that's why you're that way. And I don't like that shit. Same thing for people when I tell them I'm a lawyer. They think they have it all figured out. And I'm just like, you no, you don't have it all figured out. I am a lawyer. Yes, I am a lawyer. I'm barred. I'm licensed to practice law in the state of Florida. I intend to be that way until I'm no longer because I earned
Retired.
that. But also, again, there's like all of these other things that I'm working on, but you think you have me pegged because I tell you that I'm a lawyer. And I don't think that's fair. So that is why I am so averse to labels just in general. And then the thing with femininity, again, I'm just like, use your fucking words. What is it that you think femininity describe people in real words? Don't use these catch-all labels to say what it is that you mean. Be precise. And that is my aversion to labels.
I
That's how
think
I feel.
that, like, so when I'm hearing you talk about this and the different facets of where labels were like attributed to you, I think the overarching theme is that you don't want to be reduced to any one thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like a label per se. Like, you are averse
Yeah.
to being like, you're averse to reduction. Like, no,
Yeah.
I am this big, wild, crazy personality, and I have all these different facets of myself. And I
Yeah.
think as it relates to this conversation around like femininity and like cultural and societal norms, it's interesting to me that you have not carved out your own identity as it relates to what this word is. You know what I mean? Like, for me, my version of femininity is just who it is that I am and how I show up. I'm not expecting you to say, because I wouldn't necessarily say that like I present as the most feminine woman. I don't think that I do at all. But there are pieces of my personality that are, which is where my femininity comes in and shows up.
Right.
And
I
I
guess.
I
Oh,
I wonder, like, it does the aversion and like the non-willingness to be reduced by to anything or by anyone, um is there any lane for you to just define it like, this is what my femininity is, or you just don't even want to do that at all?
no, I don't want to. Because part of the definition of femininity, as you laid it out, is that are qualities that are attributed to or
Mhm.
regarded as characteristic of women and girls. Who's do the attributing?
Yeah. Society at large.
It's society. Who's doing the defining? We have a whole culture around this, and we're going to talk about this too a little bit. But we have this whole culture around like how to be more. There's like YouTube video. There's whole lanes in TikTok how to be more feminine. Like it does
Mhm.
mean a thing, and I'm not going to use that word and try to make it something that it's not. I'm just going to ask you not to use it as relates to me.
Good.
You know what I'm saying?
Clearly.
And then again, I have very different. Also, I was raised in a single parent home, so I have very different views about what is feminine because we didn't have nothing to. There was no counterbalance to femininity. It was all You know what I'm saying? Like it was all done by women. Everything in the household was done by women.
Mhm.
So you know, we didn't have gender roles in my house because we were both girls. Like we
Yeah.
had a
That was
very
the next question I
symbiotic
wanna get to.
relationship. Yeah, we had a very me and my mom had a very symbiotic that I did with things that she didn't like to do and she did things I didn't like to do. So, she did a lot of the cleaning and I did laundry. She hates doing laundry, but I happen to actually very much enjoy laundry and I like because I like clothes and I like to take care of my things. So,
Mhm.
I like doing laundry and I like cooking and my mom hates it. So it's like we just kind of work together, but she also cut grass. She also, washed cars. She did all of those things. And then there's like a extra step to this in that she also outsourced a lot of stuff too. Like she got to a point where she could afford to have somebody come cut the grass or wash the cars or clean the house. So it doesn't mean that any of those things are necessarily feminine. And that's what I mean by like if you are expecting someone to walk into like a feminine role, I'm gonna need you to tell me what you think that is. I need you to tell
Mhm.
me what does that
Agreed.
involve for you? Is that cooking or is that cutting the grass? Because both of those things were done by women in my home. So it's like, what is it? It's different for every home. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mhm.
think using these like very catch-all phrases and catch-all like labels, it just is cause for confusion and it's not clear. It's not clear because feminine is different for all different people. So just why not use the actual words? And if you want somebody who's going to come in and do your laundry and cook your dinners, you should say, I expect laundry and dinners. Instead of saying, I want someone to be divinely feminine. What the hell does that mean? You know
I don't even think they
what
know.
I mean? This is
Um,
what I'm saying.
One of the questions I was gonna hit before we wrap up completely, and you kind of touched on it too, was like, what did your family teach you and or say about femininity, and how was it represented or not represented? Damn, I can't get the words out. How was it
Yeah.
representative or not in your home?
I I don't think that it was it just didn't exist. It wasn't I don't know. I just come from like a line of very strong women and
Hmm.
women who like very much they still I mean, there are old school values, but there are also a lot of new school sort of values within my family dynamic. So I don't I don't know that there was like a one way to be a woman or to be feminine in I don't think so. And I think that's why I struggle with it and I struggle with people placing that on me. What about you? How do
So
you
yeah, I
see? I
was
mean,
gonna.
obviously you don't have the aversion that I have to it in labels in general. Like what are your thoughts?
Um, for me, like as far as my household, my mom was it. My father was a long distance driver, so he was gone all week long. So, like for all intents and purposes, somewhat grew up in like a single parent home because my dad was not really there. So, like,
Yeah.
we did everything to your point, like it down to like the only thing we didn't do was the cutting of the grass because my dad was available to do that on the weekends when he was there, you know what I mean? But like it was a house full of women. I have an older sister, my mom and myself, and so we just kind of split the things that needed to get done in the house amongst well, me and my sister. My mom didn't really do anything besides make the food.
Yeah.
um so it wasn't like a for me, it's I've never really cared one way or the other. Like you could say that this is what Deja is, and I'd be like, okay, child, whatever. That's what you think,
Yeah.
because I don't care about and I realized at a very young age, I was very much averse to the thoughts of other people in terms of what they thought about me. But at the same token, I am also super sensitive. So it was like this weird dichotomy of like, how do I maneuver back and forth between this? Because like, yeah, I might want you to like me, but then if you don't like me and you think these horrible things, well, I don't care about that.
Yeah. And I think
So
that's where I got to more as like an adult. And like when I left, you know, when I went out on my own, I was able to very much like define myself as I saw myself, you know? But again, what is femininity necessarily? Femininity or you know, women's role? Like, what is that role when you live alone? You just do everything,
do
or you pay
everything.
somebody to do it for you. Or
Hello.
if you're living in an apartment, which is why I lived in an apartment so long, you call maintenance.
And this is what I'm gonna be doing
You
tomorrow
know what I
because
mean?
how what? That's one of the reasons why I told my mom that I don't even know that I really want to own a home for the fact that everything got to be on me. And I don't
Yeah.
want to do all of that. But I'm like at the same
So
token, I'll be spending upwards of like thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to rent. Like, I don't know if that's smart either, but either
how
way.
much you pay for convenience?
Y'all drop down in the comments and let us know what your thoughts and opinions are on this conversation. Are you also averse to labels? And what is your definition of femininity if you have one? Of course, thank you guys for listening and watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next conversation. Bye, guys.